Most people think intermittent fasting is easy. Just skip meals and lose weight. That is what everyone says. That is what social media shows. But here is the truth. Most people fail, and it is not because of willpower. It is because of two hidden mistakes almost everyone makes and almost nobody talks about. You start strong. You skip breakfast. You feel proud. A few hours later, hunger hits harder than expected. Energy drops, focus disappears. Then comes the moment where everything falls apart. You eat something quick, something easy, something that feels harmless, and suddenly the entire effort feels wasted. Days pass, results do not show, frustration grows, and slowly you begin to believe that intermittent fasting just does not work for you. That belief is where most people lose the game, because the truth is much deeper. Intermittent fasting is powerful. It can change your body, your energy, even your health, but only if it is done the right way. There are hidden triggers inside your daily routine that quietly destroy your progress. Small habits that look normal but completely block fat burning. Tiny decisions that keep your body stuck even when you are doing everything you think is correct. And here is the surprising part. These mistakes are extremely common. Smart people make them, disciplined people make them, even people who fast for months still struggle because of these exact reasons. That is why results feel slow, confusing, or completely absent. In this video, you will learn the two biggest reasons why most people fail at intermittent fasting. You will understand what is really happening inside your body when you eat, when you fast, and why your efforts may not be giving results. You will also discover simple changes that can turn everything around, small shifts that can unlock fat burning and make fasting feel easier instead of harder. Stay with me until the end because once you see these mistakes clearly, you will never approach fasting the same way again. This information can save you months of frustration and help you finally get the results you have been chasing. Welcome to our channel, where we share simple health tips that actually work. If you want to understand your body better and make smarter choices, make sure to subscribe and be part of this journey. Intermittent fasting works, there is no doubt about that. Millions of people around the world have used it to lose weight, improve their energy, and take control of their health. At the beginning, it feels simple and powerful. You eat less often, your body starts adjusting, and the results begin to show. Clothes fit better, the scale starts moving, you feel more in control. Everything seems to be going in the right direction. But then something changes, progress starts to slow down. The same routine that once gave results begins to feel harder. Hunger becomes stronger and more frequent. Energy levels drop during the day. Simple tasks start to feel exhausting. Focus disappears, and even small things begin to feel overwhelming. The excitement that once pushed you forward slowly turns into frustration. You try to stay consistent. You follow the same fasting window. You push through the hunger. You tell yourself to stay disciplined, but the results do not match the effort anymore. Days turn into weeks, and the scale barely moves. That is when doubt starts to creep in. You begin to question everything. Maybe fasting is not for you. Maybe your body is different. Maybe this method just stopped working. This is the point where most people give up. They return to old habits, thinking the problem was their lack of discipline. But the real issue runs much deeper, because the truth is, intermittent fasting does not suddenly stop working. The body does not just decide to resist change for no reason. There is always a cause behind the struggle. There is always something happening beneath the surface that explains why progress slows down and why the experience becomes harder. And this is where things get interesting, because the problem is usually hidden inside daily habits that seem completely normal, small patterns that feel harmless but quietly disrupt the entire process. These patterns build up over time, slowly blocking the very benefits that fasting is supposed to create. You keep following the same routine, thinking everything is correct, while these hidden factors continue to hold you back. So the real question is simple. What is actually going wrong? The biggest mistake begins at the exact moment you break your fast. After hours of discipline, your body is in a sensitive state. Insulin levels are low, and your system is finally ready to burn stored fat. This is the moment that decides everything. But many people unknowingly destroy this advantage with the very first bite. They reach for foods that are quick, convenient, and familiar. Sugary snacks, refined carbohydrates, processed meals. It feels harmless because the fast is already complete, but this is where the real damage begins. As soon as these foods enter your system, your body reacts immediately. Blood sugar rises fast, and insulin spikes sharply. The fat burning process that took hours to activate suddenly shuts down. Instead of continuing to burn stored energy, your body switches back to storing energy. The window of progress closes almost instantly, and then something even more frustrating happens. Hunger returns, often stronger than before. Cravings start building up, pushing you to eat more than you planned. This creates a cycle that is difficult to escape. You fast, you break it with the wrong foods, your hunger increases, and you end up eating more frequently. It feels confusing because you are technically following the fasting schedule, yet the results are missing. Energy levels become unstable. You feel a quick boost after eating, followed by a sudden crash. This pattern repeats itself day after day, slowly draining your motivation. The reason behind this is simple but often overlooked. Fasting works by lowering insulin levels, giving your body the chance to access stored fat for energy. That is the core mechanism. But when you break your fast with foods that spike insulin quickly, you reverse that entire process within minutes. It does not matter how long you fasted. It does not matter how consistent you were. The wrong type of meal can undo everything your body was trying to achieve. This is why someone can fast for 16 hours, feel proud of their effort, and still see no progress over time. The focus stays on the fasting window, while the quality of food gets ignored. That one meal, the one that feels like a reward, quietly becomes the reason results slow down or completely stop. And most people do not even realize this is happening. The second mistake is more subtle, and that is why it is so easy to miss. It happens inside the eating window, where most people feel they have full freedom. After waiting for hours, the eating period begins and it feels natural to relax the rules. A small snack here, a quick bite there, something light between meals. It does not feel like a problem because the food is still inside the allowed time. But this pattern slowly turns into constant eating without even realizing it. Each time you eat, your body releases insulin. It does not matter if it is a full meal or a small snack, the response still happens. When this repeats again and again throughout the eating window, insulin levels remain elevated for most of the day. There is no real break. The body stays in a state where it is focused on processing incoming food rather than burning stored fat. The entire purpose of fasting begins to fade away. This creates a situation where you are technically following intermittent fasting, but your body never truly experiences it. The fasting window may still be there on paper, but the benefits are reduced because the eating window becomes overloaded. Instead of having two clear meals, the day turns into multiple eating moments. The system never gets the signal to switch modes. Energy patterns begin to change as well. You may feel short bursts of energy after eating, followed by dips that make you reach for more food. Hunger signals become confusing. You eat, yet you still feel like you need something more. This leads to a cycle of frequent eating that feels normal but quietly blocks progress. It becomes difficult to tell whether you are actually hungry or just responding to habit. The key detail that often gets ignored is that fasting is not only about when you eat, it is also about how often you eat during that window. If food keeps entering your system every 2 or 3 hours, insulin never gets the chance to drop. Without that drop, fat burning remains limited. The body stays dependent on incoming calories instead of using stored energy. This is why someone can follow a strict fasting schedule, stay committed for weeks, and still see little to no results. The structure looks correct from the outside, but the frequency of eating tells a different story. And this is why many people see zero results. So here is the real problem. It is easy to blame intermittent fasting when results slow down or disappear, but the method itself is not the issue. The real issue is the way it is being done. Small habits, repeated every day, quietly change the outcome. On the surface, everything looks correct. The fasting window is followed, meals are skipped, effort is there, but underneath, two patterns keep interfering again and again. The first pattern begins with food choices. After hours of fasting, the body is ready to shift into fat burning, but the wrong type of meal interrupts that process within minutes. Sugar, refined carbohydrates, and processed foods push insulin up quickly. This sudden shift forces the body out of fat burning mode and back into storing energy. The effort that was built during the fast gets reduced in a very short time. It feels like progress should continue, but the internal response tells a different story. The second pattern builds during the eating window. Eating becomes more frequent than it seems. A meal turns into several small eating moments spread across hours. Each time food is introduced, insulin rises again. There is no long enough gap for the body to settle and switch back to burning stored fat. The system stays active, focused on digestion and incoming energy, while stored energy remains untouched. When these two patterns combine, they create a cycle that blocks results. The fast lowers insulin, but the first meal raises it sharply. The eating window extends insulin levels through repeated snacking. The body moves back and forth without ever staying long enough in the state that leads to fat loss. It becomes a loop that feels confusing because effort is still present, yet progress feels limited or completely absent. This is why the experience becomes frustrating. You follow the structure, you stay disciplined, and still something feels off. The problem is not visible from the outside, it sits inside daily habits that seem normal and acceptable. Food choices and eating frequency quietly shape the entire outcome without drawing attention to themselves. Fix these two things, and everything changes. Once these patterns become clear, the next step begins to feel much simpler. The focus shifts away from complicated rules and moves towards small, controlled changes that create a big difference over time. It starts with the type of food that enters your body after a fast. Real, whole foods begin to play a central role. Foods that are less processed, more natural, and slower to affect blood sugar help maintain the balance your body worked to create during the fasting period. This change alone starts to stabilize energy levels and reduces the sudden hunger that often follows a meal. Meals also become more intentional. Instead of filling the eating window with constant snacking, the structure becomes tighter and more controlled. Fewer meals, spaced with enough time in between, allow the body to respond properly. Each eating moment has a clear purpose, and the gaps between meals begin to matter just as much as the meals themselves. This spacing creates room for insulin levels to settle, giving the body a chance to move back toward using stored energy. As this pattern develops, the body starts to adapt in a different way. Energy feels more stable throughout the day. Hunger signals become easier to understand. The urge to eat constantly begins to fade, replaced by a more natural rhythm. Instead of reacting to cravings, you begin to follow a structure that supports the process you are trying to achieve. The connection between fasting and eating becomes smoother, without the sharp ups and downs that often cause frustration. Time also becomes an important factor. The body needs space to transition into fat burning mode, and that transition does not happen instantly. By limiting meals and avoiding constant intake, you allow that process to continue without interruption. The longer the body stays in a low insulin state, the more effective the results become over time. This is where consistency starts to feel rewarding instead of exhausting. These changes do not require extreme effort or complicated planning. They rely on awareness and simple adjustments that fit into daily life. The structure becomes easier to follow because it aligns with how the body naturally works rather than going against it. And as these adjustments begin to settle into a routine, the entire approach starts to feel more manageable. It is simpler than you think. Now it comes down to you. You have seen where things usually go wrong, and you have seen how small habits can quietly block your results without you even noticing. The difference between success and frustration often comes from these simple patterns that repeat every day. Once you become aware of them, everything starts to look different, and your approach becomes more focused and effective. So tell me honestly, which of these mistakes are you making right now? Are you breaking your fast with the wrong foods, or are you eating too often during your eating window? Drop your answer in the comments below. I read every comment, and I want to know where you stand right now. If this video helped you understand intermittent fasting in a clearer way, make sure to like this video. It helps more people see this content and learn what actually works. And if you want simple, practical health tips that you can follow without confusion, subscribe to our channel and stay connected with us. In my next video, I will show you exactly what to eat during intermittent fasting to burn fat faster and make the process easier for your body. This is where most people get confused, and getting this part right can completely change your results. Do not miss it.